Hi, everyone. Jerry let me go last so that I could actually write what I was going to talk about. This is actually the second time I've been on the opening panel of a Social Enterprise World Forum. The last time was in San Francisco about 4 or 5 years ago, but at that point I had 2 months to prepare. This time I've had 2 hours. So I'm going to talk to you about a subject that I know really well and that's very dear to my heart and that I can probably speak about with my eyes closed. It's the Toronto Enterprise Fund. This is a fund that was established in 2000 by United Way Toronto, the City of Toronto, the Province of Ontario, and the federal government. It provides grants to social enterprises that are operated by nonprofits to employ or train people who are homeless, at risk of homelessness, or otherwise marginalized. These are people with disabilities, people with mental illnesses, women fleeing violence, immigrants to Canada who can't find jobs, or youth from disadvantaged backgrounds. So a very highly marginalized group of people. In the last 13 years, we've funded over 50 of these social enterprises with a variety of different business models, from printing to horticulture to logistics to transportation, and also food service sector. It tends to be our predominant type model of social enterprise, and I'm sure some of you visited a couple of food service social enterprises today. We've invested roughly $1 million per year over the last 13 years, and that's a lot of money if you add it up. 13 years, $13 million. So how do we know that that money is actually having an impact? Well, we judge our impact in 3 areas. We look at the impact on the individuals, we look at the impact on the businesses, and we also look at the impact on community. To determine if we're having a positive impact on people, we take an asset-based approach and we use the Sustainable Livelihoods framework in that approach. We track people's attachment to the labor market, we track how much wages they earn, we look at improvements in housing, we track changes in their we look at changes in their self-esteem. It's hard to measure that. We try to understand their increase in their sense of connections to community, to family, to friends. I remember when I first started at the Toronto Enterprise Fund, the story that really touched my heart the most was of people who've been institutionalized because of a mental illness, who quite often throughout a whole year will only ever have connections with their care providers, people who are paid to interact with them, and have no other interactions, not with friends, not with family, not with anyone else in their community. And then when they start working in a social enterprise, that all changes for them, and it has a huge impact on their sense of self and their sense of connectedness. And for me, that's been kind of a guiding principle in the work that I've been doing for the last 10 years, is really to have that impact on people, to get them out of whatever bad place they've come to, and through work, help them to reconnect with their communities. We also track changes in health and food security. The way that we do that is through obtaining statistical data from the enterprises that we fund. We also hold regular focus groups with the participants in the enterprises. And 3 years ago, we embarked on a longitudinal evaluation whereby we interview participants in the enterprises directly at regular intervals over several years. That's a work in progress, but what we're seeing, or what we have seen in all of this statistical gathering, is that there has been a bit of a shift, but originally the biggest impact we were seeing in the early years of doing this evaluation was in soft skills, or the soft assets, things like improvements in self-esteem, improvements in connections to community, a little bit of improvement in health, and certainly some big improvements in housing. What I've seen change in the last few years has been a much bigger improvement in the harder assets. Attachment to the labor market is improving. Wages that people are earning is improving. People are moving more into economic independence and having less reliance on income assistance. So some hard statistics that we have right now: approximately 75% of the people who were employed in our enterprises last year were attached permanently to the labor market. Their earnings increased on average by 20%, and approximately 10% of them left social assistance. So these are really huge improvements that I've witnessed over the years, and it's just continuing to get better as our social enterprises get bigger and stronger. The link between how well people do and how well the social enterprise does is really strong. Obviously, different models of social enterprise have a different effect on different populations. But there are some success factors that are common across the board. The social enterprise has to be a business and not a program. It has to focus on serving clients, delivering quality at a competitive price, and with a good service. People prosper in a busy, productive work environment, where they're actually dealing with customers or seeing their coworkers deal with customers on a daily basis, because they feel like they're attached to something that means something. There's a very strong correlation between people's building of assets and the sales of a social enterprise. There's a very strong correlation between their attachment to the labor market and the profitability of the social enterprise. And there's a very strong correlation between the type of business model that the enterprise follows, the work being done, and the skill level of the entrants into those social enterprises. So, for example, a sewing business that employs immigrant women from Somalia is a perfect match with the skill level of those women and the type of work that they're doing. On the other hand, an interpreter services that's training people to provide interpretation is a better match perhaps for immigrant women who have a professional background from the country that they come from. One of our biggest focuses in the last few years has been on helping businesses grow, and we've actually seen a huge change in the way that businesses have tackled sales and profitability and managing costs and becoming much more business-like in their approach. And we've seen some amazing successes, a couple of businesses that have become financially independent. Not that I want to lead you to believe that every social enterprise can become financially independent, because I do not believe that is the case, particularly social enterprises that work with very highly marginalized populations. For the most part, it's unlikely that they will ever become completely self-sufficient. But there has been a change in the way our enterprise managers and the nonprofits that manage those enterprises deal with the businesses and see them as the potential for being more profitable and for increasing sales, and taking a different approach to their customer base and really developing a much more common type of business approach to customers. And one of the things Jerry mentioned in his introduction that we're working on is opening up more opportunities for those enterprises to develop strong customer relationships through social procurement and social purchasing. We're seeing a change there too. Our third area of assessing impact is the changes in the community. We've seen some amazing changes in terms of the belief that certain populations can actually work and become more self-sustaining and part of society. So, for instance, we've seen a huge change in one of our mental health institutions in Toronto that actually several years ago introduced a strong employment program, which has a strong belief that all of their patients now can work and should work, and is really working hard to make that happen. And that institution is a huge backer of the social enterprises that work with people with mental illnesses. We've seen business improvement areas, for instance, that have accepted social enterprises into their midst. And I think most importantly, what we've seen is that now social enterprises are now seen by a variety of different stakeholders as a legitimate tool to address some of society's most intractable problems. And this World Forum this week is a really good testament to that. So governments are seeing social enterprise as a legitimate tool. Foundations, academics, the banking institutions, businesses, and most importantly, I think, is the not-for-profits that are working with people who fit into those marginalized groups, who are really seeing that this is something they can do as a way to expand and meet their mission. So why do we do this? To paraphrase something that Peter Holbrook said at the last panel opening panel of the Social Enterprise World Forum in San Francisco, because it works. Social enterprise does work, and I'm so excited to be here at this World Forum and seeing all these people in the room, and I look forward to seeing you over the next couple of days and talking to you. Thank you very much.